a time of changes. Now is the time to move on. This is the time for solutions. Feel the motion. Be new is born. Really none of you. No one connected to you. Really none of you. Be new will do it for you. This is the time for solutions. Be new is for you.
Bon dia, buenos días. Abrimos hoy el último de los días de debates de la Barcelona New Economy Week, este evento organitzado pel Consorci de la Zona Franca de Barcelona con el patrocinio de l'Ajuntament de Barcelona. Durante estos días, desde este plató, desde el B-Sustainability, desde el Roca Gallery de Barcelona, les hemos hablado de sostenibilidad. Y el siguiente panel, el que les vamos a proponer ahora, lleva por título BBLUE, Economía Azul, una moda o una necesidad. Durante la última década es cierto que se ha hablado mucho de economía verde y parece que esta economía verde está dejado un poco de lado a lo que llamamos economía azul, ¿no? Esa que proviene del mar, de los recursos, de los océanos. Fíjense, les hablo del mar y lo hago desde un sitio privilegiado, una ciudad como Barcelona, abierta al mar, y los que vivimos aquí pues tenemos el privilegio de poderlo disfrutar. Un mar, por cierto, no sé si recuerdan ayer en el B-Inspirational que teníamos aquí, contábamos con Javier Goyeneche de Coalf, nos enseñaba aquellas fotografías llenas de mares de plástico, literalmente, ¿no? Él creía que incluso ahora ya se podría decir que hay más plásticos en el mar que no peces. Un mar que debemos cuidar y que será protagonista durante la siguiente hora. Piensen que el 70% de la superficie terrestre está cubierta por mar. Los recursos de los océanos, los recursos submarinos, la vida submarina son necesarios. Incluso hay un 90% del comercio internacional que se transporta por mar. Y si nos fijamos en más cifras económicas, por ejemplo, la Comisión Europea elaboró un informe donde determinaba que la economía azul generó 750 millones de euros y empleó a más de 5 millones de trabajadores solo en nuestro continente. Es un activo económico y medioambiental, y en este caso también, y lo llevamos diciendo a lo largo de estos días, economía y medio ambiente también tienen que ir de la mano. El siguiente debate les presento a la persona que lo va a moderar. Ella es Ana Major Crespo. Buenos días. Es directora de Innovación Empresarial y responsable de Economía Azul de Barcelona Activa del Ayuntamiento de Barcelona. Y les hablaba de Barcelona hace un momento, ¿no? Les decía, ciudad mediterránea, ciudad abierta al mar. Es una ciudad que en su nueva agenda económica quiere potenciar e impulsar la economía azul, su economía azul, y lo quiere hacer de la mano del sistema, del ecosistema local e internacional. Les dejo con Ana y con el resto de ponentes para hablar pues, de economía azul y, como decíamos, el título, ¿no? Si es una moda o una necesidad.
Muchas gracias. Buenos días. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today and to talk about this blue economy, a trend or a mass. We already said about the importance of this because sustainability and economy have to go hand with hand in this new agenda. And Barcelona wants to bet on sustainability and to put the blue economy in his economic agenda. We are a city with sea, and the sea has always been an economic engine of the city because we have a tradition of sailors and traders. And if we want to keep our economy linked to the sea, we need a healthy sea. And that's why blue economy is in the center of our strategic agenda. Before introducing our panelists, let me give you a very short video on blue economy that will frame what we are talking about. Thank you.
Mediterranean. Barcelona has 16.67 kilometers of Mediterranean Sea located between 2 rivers, 4 ports and 11 neighborhoods in 3 districts. The Mediterranean Sea has been and is a great asset for the economic development of the region, for its logistics and port activities, fishing, sailing and tourism, among others. These benefits depend largely on the good conservation and management of ecosystems which are currently under pressure. In the face of these challenges, European national and local plans and policies are being developed and implemented in order to protect the marine and coastal environment and to promote a sustainable maritime economy. The blue economy in Barcelona, a city with a maritime tradition, generates wealth and is a source of employment and brings together a large number of economic agents who carry out activities related to the sea. From the City Council, we want to develop the potential of the blue economy in Barcelona and be a reference in the Mediterranean, encouraging economic activities that promote innovation, technology and ensure environmental sustainability so that it becomes a vector of economic and social development of the city and the backbone of its coast. The Port Olympic area is the first opportunity for a public initiative urban transformation related to the blue economy, because it has the opportunity to reverse its uses while generating synergies with many of the research centers dedicated to the sea. It needs to be reborn as a new city space and integrated into the daily life of citizens, turning it into a public space of contact with the sea where to live, enjoy and work, becoming the reference space in Barcelona dedicated to marine dissemination, popular nautical and water sports, the blue economy and quality catering, being in all areas a benchmark in environmental sustainability for our Mediterranean Sea.
So as you can see, we have the assets, we have the will, we have the commitment, and Barcelona will bet on this new economy with blue economy. But we are not doing it alone. We have been talking with more than 70 agents, local and internationally, to define our strategy that will be presented next week. And we are doing with some of the panelists we had here, we have some of the collaborators that we are sharing this view and that we want to hear from them. What's about the blue economy, if it's a trend or it's a must? So let me introduce the panelists. First, we have Remy Parmentier. Hola, Remy. Hello.
Hola. Hola.
He's a pioneer of environmental action and director of the Barda Group. He has a long career on a Greenpeace political action, and is a former deputy executive secretary of the Global Ocean Commission. And he's now also collaborating with us. I want to introduce also Christian Telecki. Hello, Christian, from London.
Hello.
He's the global director of Ocean Program, World Resource Institute. He has been for 2 decades on the ground and on the highest level of the ocean policy, and is the head of the Friends of Ocean Action in the World Economic Forum, and the head of the Secretariat of the High-Level Panel for Sustainable Ocean Economy. He will better explain what does it mean. Also, we have Jordi Torrent. Buen día, Jordi.
Buen día.
Él es el jefe de estrategia del puerto de Barcelona. Él ha estado realizando y liderando el nuevo plan estratégico que el puerto ha lanzado recientemente, introduciendo la sostenibilidad como un hecho fundamental y también introduciendo nuevas tendencias comerciales y también logísticas. Y por último, tenemos a Gemma Quílez, actualmente directora científica de Sustainable Ventures. Hola, Gemma.
Buen día, hola.
Buen día. Sustainable Ventures es una empresa catalana que ha apostado por la economía azul y que está trabajando para ayudar a emprendedores y a nuevos proyectos innovadores a que vean la luz. Ella nos contará mejor nuevas tendencias en esta economía y cómo están desarrollando. Por lo tanto, y sin más dilación, empezaremos con Remy, si te parece. Remy, we have heard about blue economy for a long time. It's not something new. And you've been always talking about sustainability and economy. Can you tell us, again, if you think that blue economy, because it's the sustainability, but not only the green, but related with the oceans, it's getting more urgent, and if you think this is a trend or it's a must, and how we have to do it to put it in our agenda. Thank you.
So thank you, Anna. Thank you for your kind invitation, and thank you for your questions. I think there is a consensus around this table, this virtual table, that adding the adjective sustainable to the word economy is, of course, a must, and even more so when we talk of the blue economy. We must always talk of environmentally and socially sustainable blue economy. And that's in line with the 3 pillars of sustainable development as they were defined originally by the Brundtland Commission in 1987. That's the economic, the social, and the environmental pillars. My God, 1987, I don't know how old you were or how young you were, Anna, in 1987, but it's about time to always incorporate social and environmental sustainability in the economic paradigm. From an economic standpoint, but also from an environmentally and an environment and a social standpoint, what is important is to anticipate societies and people's future needs. And only those who can anticipate will have a place in the ecological transformation of production and consumption patterns, including the energy transition, which is underway, as you know. So, what can the blue economy mean to Barcelona? Well, for example, preparing the port of Barcelona to host the vessels of the future, which will be propelled by hydrogen or wind or other clean fuels, and not by fossil fuels. It also means preparing the city to give climate-smart responses to sea level rise and to the multiplication of extreme weather patterns, which have already started, as you know very well, in Barcelona. So to anticipate and stay ahead of the curve, always stay ahead of the curve. You're asking me also whether the blue economy is a trend. Well, the concept is 10-year-old. I was in New York at the UN, at the United Nations in March 2011, when during the preparation for the so-called Rio +20 conference, which took place a few months later in 2012, and whose theme was the green economy. And at that meeting in March 2011, the representative of the Alliance of Small Island Developing States said that for island countries, but this is true also of all coastal countries, there is no green without blue. And I think at that meeting, it was the first time that the words blue economy were used publicly. And interestingly, these words were pronounced at the time by Peter Thompson, who was at the time the ambassador of Fiji to the United Nations, and who later became, and still is, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for the Ocean. That is to say, the UN ambassador for the blue economy. So you're asking me why now also, I think. Well, I'd say that the concept of the blue economy has had 10 years to mature. It is ripe. It's like a low-hanging fruit, if you wish. And if Barcelona does not catch the low-hanging fruit now, others will, and Barcelona would lose the opportunity. So I welcome the discussion and the work with Barcelona. The race is on to maintain, grow, protect, and to harvest the blue wealth, the blue energy from the ocean. Thank you. Gracias, Anna.
Thank you, Remy. It's a pleasure to listen that this is a long concept and an old concept, let's say, but it's really now on the agenda. We'll continue with Gemma. You are working in a company that fosters innovation, technology, new niche, I would say, of blue economy, because blue economy it's a concept that have a lot of sectors inside. It's from fishing and shipping, but also some emergent sectors like biotechnology or like marine energy, etc. So can you explain us what do you think are the new niche, the new technologies that really are appearing and the new opportunities for new economic activity and new job creation, of course? And maybe you can give some examples of new companies and how are you helping them? Please, can you help explaining a little bit about this new emergent new economy and blue economy opportunities?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Anna. And first of all, thank you for inviting us to be here with you. First of all, I would like to just make sure that we are on the same page about what's blue economy, because I've just heard Remy saying sustainable blue economy. And this is something that is worrying us, because in the past 6 months, we've heard that even in the European Commission, they are starting to say sustainable blue economy, when blue economy already has this meaning within. Blue economy for us, and this is what actually the meaning is a sustainable marine economy.
That's a very common, let's say, misunderstanding, because with green, everyone thinks about green is sustainable.
Yes.
With blue, some people sometimes think about maritime. We are talking about sustainability linked to the water economy.
Exactly.
For sure.
So just to make sure about that. But so yeah, as you were saying, the oceans, they are a great wealth of opportunities. But as we were saying also on the video, these wealths can only be obtained if oceans are actually in good health. And how can we obtain this, and how can we actually live with the oceans and from the oceans? We need technology. And this is where we were saying, so what types of technology we have? There are these types of technology that can be applied to traditional infrastructures, such as shipping, fishing, transportation even. And what we are trying to do is apply this new technology into these traditional industries, just to make them more sustainable. This is one of the technologies that we can have today. The other one is the blue biotech. As you were mentioning, blue biotech, we would define it as this technology that it's in the fields of food, pharmacology, for example, or cosmetics, or even other types of industries. Then we have also, talking about Barcelona, there is a lot of tourism. So obviously, we would go into our regenerative tourism. I'll talk about it later. We can have also regenerative infrastructures. We do have the infrastructures that actually what they have done is degrade the environment where they are. So we have to have a regeneration of those infrastructures. And lastly, we could have also the data collection. Data collection is very important in the sense that the better we know the ocean, obviously the better we can manage it, and we can obviously benefit from it. So basically, blue economy presents great opportunities. In our case, just to give you, for example, some businesses that are doing well here, we have Ocean EcoStructures, which is one spin-off of Sustainable Ventures. Ocean EcoStructures, what it's doing is it has a technology that transforms these gray infrastructures, and what does is applies this technology to generate life and create this blue oasis, okay, more or less. Also, in addition to generate biodiversity, what it's doing is also having a second side effect, which is carbon sequestration. So it's a win-win situation, basically, with Ocean EcoStructures. Then we could have, for example, Orbitaleos. Orbitaleos is a big data Spanish company that what does is gather information from the satellites. And with this, what we are doing is we know where red tides are, for example, or pollution, or oil spills. And at the end, what this big data can help, for example, shipping routes, so optimizing these fishing routes. So just to give you an idea of what Sustainable Ventures does for us, we are trying to combine what would be innovative science, and we apply this innovative science and technology into an entrepreneurial approach. So we create these new business models that what we do is profitable and scalable business models, applying always nature-based solutions. So at the end, we have this sustainability in a 30-60 degree framework, let's say, which means not only environmentally, but also socially and also economically, obviously. To know how am I doing with the time?
I think maybe we can share.
Okay.
We can have another round maybe afterwards.
All right.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you.
Hello, Jordi. I will continue with you. We cannot talk about blue economy without talking about ports, and we cannot talk about blue economy in Barcelona without talking about Port of Barcelona, a reference worldwide. So here we have Jordi that has been working on the last strategic plan of the Port of Barcelona, where sustainability, as Gemma said, economically, environmentally, and social, it's a key aspect. And maybe you can explain better what are your plans. And also he's a good partner with the Barcelona strategy. So maybe, Jordi, you can explain a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you, Anna, for the invitation. Let me say, before I answer the question, let me say just use my first minute in order to give some figures about the port.
That's
because
great.
people, not even people from Barcelona, sometimes understand the importance of the port in general, and when we speak about blue economy. No? The port, basically, we handle more than 1,000 hectares of land. This to make it, this is like 1,000, I like football, so this is like 1,200 football stadiums. This more than the biggest neighborhood in the city, I would say, or very similar to the biggest neighborhood in the city. This is a port where every day 37,000 people come to work on a daily basis, okay, every day. This is a very diversified port, extremely diversified port. We're not the biggest port in terms of handling cargo or passengers or whatever, but it's probably the most diversified port in the Mediterranean. We host marinas for the maintenance of private yachts, some of the most modern and most advanced in Europe. Obviously, cruise traffic. Obviously, our core business, which is still handling cargo and passengers. No, we have a logistics activity zone. We have fishing activities. We have hotels inside the port area. So these obviously, when we speak about blue economy, I think I mean it's obvious that the Port of Barcelona has to be one of the main actors here. This is why we were one of the first, or the first organization to sign the new strategy and to adhere to the new strategy of the city of Barcelona. Obviously, port activity and shipping has positive impacts and negative impacts, obviously, as any other economic activity. You know? And when we speak about the oceans, obviously, shipping, fishing, port infrastructure have impacts on the environment, obviously, that we have to try to limit as much as possible. Understanding which is the core business of our port, which is basically to help companies and individuals, no, to create occupation and to help them in the global economy where they have to compete with other companies, countries, etc. Our new strategic plan for the period 2021-2025, which was approved January this year, obviously, and we are not starting now. Let me say, I've been at the port for 14 years. We have done 2 strategic plans since I'm at the port, and already sustainability was an integral part of our previous strategic plan. But obviously, in this new strategic plan, this is one of the main pillars, or I would say the main pillars of our new strategic plan. The second pillar would be increasing this diversification, but I'm not going to touch this today. And let me say 2 more figures. Obviously, as I said, we have an impact on the environment, which cannot be denied, obviously, but smaller than other port clusters in Europe. Why? Because we don't host industries in our port. Okay, compared to Northern European ports, and I'm a very good friend of all of them because we meet everywhere very often. We don't host refineries in our port. We don't have petrochemical industries in our port. So the impact, for instance, when it comes to the quality of the air, it's, and I'm not gonna, every pollutant is different, but approximately around 10% or much less of the different pollutants can be attributed to port activity. When it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, no, the maritime transport in the world accounts for less than 3% of the global greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. And when it comes up to the oceans, obviously fishing transportation has a strong impact on the quality of the ocean. So in our new strategic plan, within our responsibilities, which obviously we can not change things that are not out of our control, sustainability, as I said, is one of the main pillars. And the things that we have planned for the coming 4 years, I'm going to mention, and leave it here, mention 3, 4, 5 things, is one, very important, electrifying the port terminals so that when the ships come to the port, they are connected to the electricity instead of having the engines running and burning fuel during their stay in the port. If everything goes as planned, at the end of next year, I'm not speaking in 10 years' time, at the end of next year, beginning 2023, we want to have already container vessels connected to the electricity, then ferries, and then cruise ships. Second, the port is a place where you have lots of potential to create renewable energy, not only with solar panels, with other things. Third, we have, as I said, when it comes to blue economy, we host 3, 4 marinas, for like Marina Barcelona 92 and others, for maintenance and entertaining of private yachts. The most, one of them already has OPS, which is onshore power supply for the private yachts to come to the port. We have a project to develop a sustainable, from a self-sustainable energy fishing facility in the port, new one for the coming years. So, and also, which is something more far from the blue economy, but I think it's very much linked, which is promoting more intermodality, that instead of having that we have thousands of trucks coming to the port to collect cargo, have more trains, which already have 15% when it comes to containers, 40% when it comes to cars, but increase this percentage of cargo that enters and leaves the port by train instead of trucks. So I'm going to leave it here to leave some time for debate and for the other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordi. So Port of Barcelona is putting sustainability as a pillar. Thank you. And last but not least, of course, Christian. We'd love to understand and hear you about the high-level panel for sustainable ocean economy, the Ocean Panel, because you've been in the international field on blue economy for a long time, and we would like to hear about what's this blue economy worldwide, what's the concept, how are you working with that, and what's the role of governments and cities regarding this, and also what do you feel about the businesses, how do they, let's say, adapt this new way of doing things with sustainability as a pillar. So blue economy, a trend or a mass? Please, Christian.
Thank you so much for having me. Buenos dias, todos. I think what I first want to start off with, I think is really important, and listening to the other speakers, perhaps just a couple of points to reflect on. One is that we need to stop seeing the ocean as a victim. All too often we talk about all the problems that the ocean is facing, yet what we should really be focusing on is that it's a source of solutions. So very important to think that. And secondly, it's no longer a nice to have in terms of a sustainable ocean economy, but a must have. And I wish I shared the sentiment of one of our speakers that we needed that, we don't need that sustainability element. I think all too often we found over the last decade that there are unfortunately many out there that were just using the blue economy as a way of undertaking economic activities that perhaps were not sustainable, or we're thinking about it in the context of ocean health. So I think it's really important that we have that. But I think at the moment we're at an unprecedented moment in time where there is a level of interest in the health of the ocean, and companies and governments and people actually want to take action and want to see a better health for the ocean going forward. And this obviously was the genesis really of the high-level panel for sustainable ocean economy that was launched in 2018. This is a very unique collaboration amongst 14 serving world leaders, the first time that you had world leaders come together outside formal processes to address the health of the ocean, and co-chaired by the Norwegian Prime Minister and the President of Palau. And this was really the commitment to building a sustainable ocean economy where effective protection, sustainable production, and equitable prosperity go hand in hand, and really creating a triple win for people, nature, and the economy. And I want all of us to think about these 3 Ps of protection, production, and prosperity, and we think about this. And this whole process, and anything that we do as far as the ocean economy is concerned, really needs to be grounded in science. And so we undertook a very rigorous and robust exercise related to this, got involved with 250 experts from 48 countries around the world, producing a series of blue papers and special reports to really bring together the latest science and analysis on the ocean and the global ocean challenges so that we really could develop a roadmap going forward to 2030. This also included 135 companies and NGOs, international organizations, to ground truth the science and help catalyze action. And this led to an ocean action agenda that was launched last December called the Transformations for a Sustainable Ocean Economy, a Vision for Protection, Production, and Prosperity. And so when we think about these three Ps and we think about a sustainable ocean economy, we need to think about ocean wealth. We need to think about ocean health, ocean knowledge, ocean finance, and ocean equity, and very much putting people and the economy at the heart of solving these challenges facing the ocean and really anticipating the future and the future we want, I think is going to be incredibly important. And so something that Remy mentioned, really, I think is very important, is that all too often we think of a sustainable ocean economy strictly from a blue lens. We don't think about the green elements to it. And if we want to move this forward, we need to be sure that we have the land economy is really and how does that interact with the blue economy? So think of this very much as an interaction between the two and the impacts they have each other. And so when we think about a sustainable ocean economy for government and cities, this absolutely requires collaboration across sectors, across ministries, across departments. And if we keep them in silos in the ocean space, we're just not going to unlock the potential that a sustainable ocean economy has. But if we can incentivize and demand this collaboration, you'll create economic development and community resilience strategies that diversity and strengthen the local economy, and in fact stimulate these public and private partnerships to preserve and improve the nature environment. And if I may, just perhaps a little bit of evidence base that this is really stacking up. The ocean sustains us. We know that more than 3 billion people around the world rely on the ocean as a source of protein for nutrition. And we found through some of the research that the Ocean Panel commissioned that the ocean, a sustainable ocean, can produce 6 times more food from the ocean. Ocean powers us. 40 times more renewable energy coming from the ocean by 2050, even more. We know the ocean stabilizes the climate. It takes about 25% of CO2 emissions from human activities, absorbs over 90% of the heat. And we know that ocean solutions can lead up to about 21% of the greenhouse gas emissions reductions needed to keep the world within the 1.5 degree target by 2050. That's about taking 2.5 billion cars off the road. And I think this is under noticed and underestimated. And finally, that it leads to greater prosperity. We know that the ocean contributes, earlier, the 1.5 trillion to the global economy as a source of millions of jobs. And if you look at it on a real local basis, investing in $1 in key ocean activities can lead to $5 in global benefits. So what are we talking about in terms of these sort of key areas and sort of thinking about action when we think about some of the things that we hear governments and businesses involved with? Well, we need to, as I said, we need to manage waste and increase recycling to stem the tide of pollution entering the ocean in the first place, thinking about the land-based sources. Don't forget about education. Don't just bring, the ocean into the classroom, but bring the sustainable ocean economy into the classroom. What does it mean? How do you then think about the future and the jobs and educate those that are heading into those jobs in the future that the ocean may provide? Incentivizing sustainable livelihoods and businesses. What are those sort of incentives that government and local government can play in order to really encourage the sustainability and the interaction with the ocean? Considering tourism, a big issue in Barcelona and surrounds. That's not only sustainable, but regenerative as well. That actually the activities are doing better by the ocean and regenerating it. I mentioned earlier, transition to renewable energy and the green ports. Excellent to hear about the Barcelona ports and the importance there and their thinking going forward. And certainly finally, and by no means least, is really effective protection. And we often have done ourselves a great injustice by thinking about protection as just a nice park in the sea and protecting biodiversity. But we need to reframe that, and we need to reframe it in such a way that we think about the multitude of benefits that should be considered part of a city or a government's infrastructure. It creates jobs, it produces food, and indeed takes up more carbon. So there's certainly much greater resonance with sustainability, and many companies are seeking to engage more and more to raise the level of ambition. And then I think there's no better opportunity to explore options for a sustainable ocean economy, which is good for the ocean, people, economy, and the planet. So hopefully some international perspectives there, but I think are very applicable. And I think at the moment, there is no better time to really embrace the possibilities for a sustainable ocean economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. It was really helpful, and I appreciate. I would give another round. Some of you already told a little bit about that, but I would like to ask one or two specific recommendations for Barcelona in order to be a reference on blue economy. You already talked about them a little bit, but if you can be concrete and explain why, and we'll do the other way around. So we'll begin with you, Christian.
Happy to. I've actually got two here. I think that one recommendation would be to explore the idea of green or blue engineering, solutions, and look to nature for solutions, and not just you think of it as an enemy, or as a victim, but also as an ally. There's great evidence when we think about sea level rise, the role of salt marshes, the role of nearshore systems and how they can adapt and actually absorb wave energy and deal with some of the coastal erosion and securing that. And also then that secures the coastline for businesses. So I think I would look to the nature for inspiration on how we address some of these challenges. The second recommendation is think about how we can co-locate some of these activities that offers a sort of a triple win in many instances. For example, offshore wind. There are a number of areas around the world that are having offshore wind farms, but then are either growing seaweed or are growing some sort of aquaculture in amongst the wind farm. But also then that's a source of a low carbon source of energy that could be used. So you're making the best use of that space, but it's also doing well to address a number of issues around climate change, the need for renewable energy sources, food security, and jobs. So thinking imaginatively and creatively on how we use this space, but in a way that brings in different sectors and breaks down those silos that I talked about before.
Thank you. Maybe we'll continue with Jordi, please.
Okay.
You are part of it, but your recommendation?
I'm looking at the watch. I think we don't have much time left, so I will go as fast as I can. No, I think there's lots of opportunities for Barcelona for different reasons. We are a city quite unique in terms of dimension, population, density, climate. Sea oriented. So I think there's lots of potential for Barcelona when we speak about blue economy. I think, for instance, we have in Barcelona a very important ecosystem of startups in very different sectors, extremely different sectors, from the food industry, from technology, from a lot of sectors. And I think when it comes to blue economy, sustainability, we should try to benefit from this ecosystem in order to attract talent in Barcelona on different all the activities that were mentioned during this session. This is one potentiality that we have I think we have to take advantage of this, and we haven't done it so much in the past, so there's a big opportunity here. Second, for instance, electric mobility, and I go back again to what I said. Now, this is a city with the sea, with lots of passengers, cargo, a population, small, very good climate. So we have here, we could be like the leader in electric mobility of both people and passengers in the world, because very few people have these conditions that we have. So this is another potentiality. Just to name two and leave time for the other speakers.
We have time because there's no external question, but thank you. We can do another round if it's needed. Thank you, Jordi. Okay. Gemma, your turn.
Agree with the previous two opponents. Basically, Barcelona, what can we say? I mean, it's a city it's on the coast. Catalonia has about 600 kilometers of coast. Let's embrace this. Let's use this, and then have like a regenerative tourism, for example. Barcelona is already like a digital hub. Why can it not be a blue economy hub? I mean, we have the research centers, we have universities. Let's use all this. We have already biotechnology, so let's just potentially, let's just move forward with it and just, let's believe it, I think. This is the key word, and then use it and just push forward. And this is a little bit what we are doing as well in sustainable ventures. With some great infrastructures, we can actually use that and change it and create this blue oasis with this technology that we have here in Catalonia, in Barcelona. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Remy, we have time for your opinion, your proposals, and please, what do you think about that?
A lot has already been said by the previous speakers, so in the interest of time, I'll focus on some aspects that have not been covered. I think it's important to be transparent with all stakeholders and the general population. When you undertake a transformation of the economy and of the city, it's important not to do it on the back of people, because you can have a backlash. So transparency, pedagogy, stakeholders engagement is very important, and I'd like to emphasize that. One other thing, I already touched upon it in my original presentation earlier, don't be shy. Be ahead of the curve, and be an engine for the transformation that is needed, and be a model for the rest of the Mediterranean, and maybe, if I may say, the rest of the world. Thank you.
Okay, we have 8 minutes. I think no questions will come. Maybe if you want open to add any other remarks that you would like. Otherwise, I can put just some questions, but I prefer to feel a little bit free. Anyone want to? Okay. Remy, please.
Yes, I was a bit confused with what Gemma said. Her presentation. I mean, her company is called Sustainable Ventures, and maybe it was the language, I don't know, but I had the impression she said, well, Remy wants too much sustainability.
No.
I don't know. I can't see you on the screen, unfortunately, Gemma. So, but by the tone of your voice, I would think that you are a member of what I would call the sustainable development generation. I'm sure you were very young in 1987 when the Brundtland Commission first framed the concept of sustainable development. And so I was a bit confused when you seem to be on the defensive, saying, we don't want too much sustainability, or was this just a mistake on my part, or I think it would be good to clarify, because I'm probably not the only one who got confused.
Thank you, Remy. I'm sure Gemma can explain, but because I think he was strengthening the concept, but please.
Yeah, sorry, Remy. I wasn't really saying that I don't want too much of the sustainability. On the contrary, you know, I come from a scientific background, then I went into NGOs, so I'm pro-sustainability 100%. What I meant is that blue economy, it already has the meaning of sustainability within the concept. So the blue economy, it's already sustainable marine economy. And what we are seeing is that lately, even at the European Commission, actually, some documents say sustainable blue economy, which to us doesn't really make sense, because it's saying sustainable marine economy. That's what I meant. Of course, I'm pro-sustainability, and I think that's where we have to go. I mean, absolutely, 100%. I don't know if I made myself clearer now.
I think so, and I would like maybe, Kristen, you can give a point on that, because you've been talking about education, the sensibilization. Maybe the sustainable link to the blue, it's very clear, crystal clear from the ones that we are inside. But for general people, it's maybe not that clear, and that's why EU proposed to add this term. I don't know, maybe on the international field.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of instances over the last decade where we've seen governments use the term blue economy and have a very different definition on how we would term it as far as sustainability is concerned. So I think there was a, as Remy has pointed out, I think it was almost, for those in the know and understanding that what we were talking about, it was abundantly evident. But for those not, it was needed to have that qualifier. And I think, interestingly enough, I think I'm just trying to think even now. I mean, although this has been around for some time, this concept, when you actually typed in blue economy, I think certainly in the last decade, I think even sort of 6-7 years ago, it wasn't the ocean economy that came up. It was a term that was described as kind of like the wider integrated thinking about the economy rather than the ocean. And I think we've gone great strides to integrate that. I would also say that that there is a real danger in going down the pathway of trying to define it. And I would encourage all of us not to really define it, but perhaps define it. What does it mean for you locally and your particular geography? Because that's going to mean different things to different, in different geographies. The fundamentals are there, and I think the World Bank definition has some of those fundamentals. But I just, all too often I get this. People say, well, what is the blue economy? And I think, we have the elements there. I think we need to agree that generally speaking, sustainability is part of that. Sometimes you need a qualifier. Sustainable ocean economy, sustainable blue economy is very important. But the elements on a local level are going to vary from geography to geography, and we need to accept that and understand that.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe Jordi, you want to add something or comment on that? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Anna.
Please.
No, I'd like to say, but basically, when I think about the blue economy and the oceans and the future of the oceans, I think Remy mentioned it at the beginning, and I wanted to make a point on that. We all think about that fishing, other things, and when I think about my sector in particular, the shipping industry, and vessels and transportation, I mean, let's be very honest. Unfortunately, today there is no alternative to fossil fuels for maritime transport, for massive transportation. Okay, we participate in very different projects with in research projects with hydrogen, with ammonia, with wind vessels, things like that. So I think I would say, and we receive the vessels, and at the port, we can do lots of things. And as I said, OPS and shore power supply, lots of things in order to reduce our impact on the quality of the air, on the quality of the seas, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end, 95% of what happens in our sector happens outside the ports, okay? Because they are at the port only 5% of the time they navigate. So I think that I guess we all agree that one of the priorities of this sector in the coming years is to try to find alternatives to fossil fuels as main fuels for transportation. We bet all in the past a lot on liquefied natural gas, which is good in the cities to fight pollution, etc., but which has proven not to be good for climate change or for the quality of the seas. Still, we believe this is a good energy transition whilst we find something else that can replace alternative fuels. And I think that we should and we are investing, although this is not, we are not the main actors here, a lot in trying to promote the research and finding alternative fuels for massive transportation, hydrogen, ammonia, and things like that. And I would say that this should be one of the priorities in the coming years, to try to find out what can replace fossil fuels in the medium term. Unfortunately, I think it's not honest to say on the short term, because I don't think we're going to get there.
Thank you. It's 1 minute left, so I think we need to, I'm sorry, we need to close. Is it really, really very fast? No.
Very fast. I think we agree that we have to anticipate, and the question of the speed is connected to our collective political will. So let's move ahead. I think we all want to go in the same direction. Hearing Jordi, Gemma, Christian, and of course you, Anna. So let's speed up.
Thank you. So it's going to end. Just we've been talking about a term of 1987, but we still need to focus on sustainability because blue economy needs this, let's say, education and for worldwide. we've been talking of this triple win, this people, nature, and economy. I think it's very important, and in economy, I will add the infrastructure as a main point, and the cross sectors and transversal, because this is not an inch, this is something very transversal. So we are talking about these three sustainability, the economic, the environment, the social. I think we all agree there. And probably blue economy, it's kind of a trend right now, but for sure it's a must. So we'll need to keep working on that. Thank you very much. It was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ha sido una charla muy interesante. Yo también añadiría, ¿no?, en la línea de lo que se ha dicho aquí, y es que un poco todos han ido en esa misma línea de aprovechar lo que ya hay, lo que ya tenemos, por lo que respecta a la economía en materia de economía azul, ¿no? No sé si era Raimi o Cristian que decía que no hay que ser tímidos, Gemma decía que hay que creérselo, aprovechar la situación, ¿no? En Barcelona, por ejemplo, tenemos hub tecnológico, pues ¿por qué no tener este hub de economía azul? O apuntaban también, Jordi, desde el Port de Barcelona, es un pilar de la sostenibilidad, es un pilar del puerto, y hay que también aprovechar para atraer talento y explotar esa capacidad que ya tenemos aquí. Una charla muy interesante, esta primera, la que ha empezado el día hoy en este plató del B-Sustainability en el Barcelona Roca Gallery, y nosotros nada, invitarlos a dentro de unos minutos a la siguiente sesión, que girará en torno a los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible, a la mirada puesta en el 2030, a ver qué es lo que hay hecho y lo que todavía queda por hacer.
Molt bé, perfecte.